My name is Erik. I'm with the Notre Dame web team. I will be presenting on a few features that we have built into Conductor, which is the Notre Dame web team's proprietary CMS. It is now about 19 years old, so old enough to be a freshman here on campus. And so let's just dive right in. So I'm sure you've all seen, people pages where you have headshot upon headshot upon headshots. But quite often, if you upload a headshot and the system crops it for you, it's going to do that crop to the center, which cuts off the top of someone's head, which is no good. So one thing we did is we implemented Google's Gemini to, once we initially upload the image, it will do the initial crop to square. Then we will send that image off to Gemini, and it will tell us which ordinal direction is the point of interest. So you can see it's quite the prompt to make sure it does it right, because it always wants to give you back something a little bit more verbose than just north, south, east, or west. But once it does send us back that ordinal direction, we can then redo the crop, replace the image in the direction that it should go. So for instance, if you have this image on the far left, if you just crop the center, you lose part of the building. With the proper detection, it will actually center it around the image that we want to be pointing out. For the next couple, we are going to go in browser. So Google search results. You've seen these thousands and thousands of times. So this small area here is sort of the summary of what the page is. Now, web content editors can have control over what that content is. If you don't put anything at all, Google or Bing or whatever is going to make up their own based on the content of the page. So in Conductor, we have, if you went and edited a page, down at the bottom, there is a field for putting the meta description. That's been there forever. One tool we added was this Gemini button, where if you click that, it will autocomplete based on the content, try to create a meta description for you. So if we look at the prompt for that one, that's the wrong tab. So this one has quite a prompt as well. So LLMs, they're really kind of dumb. You have to give them a lot of instructions and reiterate certain things that are important. So ideally, meta descriptions are only around between 50 and 160 characters long. So we say at the top, 50 to 160, strict. We've had that for all. It would still come back with meta descriptions that were like 255 characters long. So one of the things we have at the end is a quality check. When the prompt comes back, if it does not meet these quality checks, redo it and redo it again. And even then, it still gets it wrong once in a while and it'll give you something too long. Some other things we had to point out, we wanted to pretend like it's a search engine optimization expert working at the University of Notre Dame. We don't want the meta descriptions to be sales pitchy. We wanted to avoid different terms that you might get from a sales pitch. We want it to just be more informative of what is actually present on the page. Then the next one. So if you've worked with images on a website, accessibility is something that you should keep in mind. Because someone who is non-sighted and they're using your website, if they get to an image when they're listening to the website, it can be the alt text can be straight garbage if you're not careful. For the longest time, we just sort of faked the alt text on Conductor, gave people the opportunity to edit it if they wanted to, but within the past couple of years, we've started forcing it. So now if you upload an image in Conductor, you cannot use an image until it has an alt text in it. And to assist with that, screen will move. So here you can see one, it's just called O'Donnell. So similarly, we have a Gemini button here. You click that, and you can see here, Nora O'Donnell, a smiling woman with light brown hair, blue eyes, and a gold dangling earrings wearing a black top. So it actually describes what's going on in the photo. Bird's eye view of Notre Dame campus. That's not great either. So we can run that through Gemini. Take a moment, just thinking about it. There we go. Area of Notre Dame's building, including the Basilica of the Sacred Heart and the Golden Dome. So getting into the prompt for this one. So this one, we're telling it you are a web accessibility specialist at the University of Notre Dame, creating alt text for images. So we want them to be concise. We give it, length recommendations. We say use proper pronunciation, be specific and descriptive. Really focus on the subject and not necessarily on the backgrounds. One of the things that we really ran into early on would be the reason we added this one. Remember, not every priest is Father Jenkins. Pretty much any time you had a priest and hit alt text, would be President John I. Jenkins, president of the University of Notre Dame. Even for Father Dowd, it was calling him Father Jenkins. It has gotten better recently, especially with Jonathan has a question.
I just want to remind you that after Father Dowd was installed, it was coming back with the late Father Jenkins.
The late Father Jenkins. Yes, we did get that once in a while. And so we want to do things like avoid image of, avoid picture of. So we're trying to get it to follow best standards for alt text coming from the accessibility community. We also had to be careful. Make sure you have at least 90% confidence in who a person is if they're in the picture before naming them. Now, obviously, if we look back at it, the user has to actually hit save before this is committed. So there is still some onus on the web editor to make sure that the alt text is correct before hitting save and sending it out into the world. So technically, it calling Father Dowd, Father Jenkins, that can be fixed by the editor. We have a few minutes, I assume?
Yep.
All right, so that's the 3 that are in production right now. Any web content editor at Notre Dame can use those if they're using Conductor. The one that is currently in progress that we do not have available yet is, and I need to get my window. So one of the big pushes about Notre Dame being a global Catholic university is language translation. Now, there are tools on the market that you can plug into websites in order to get that feature. But with LLMs, it's gotten a lot easier to do it ourselves. Now, the average web content editor is not going to be able to go in and recreate every single page in their website in German and in French and in Spanish. It's just untenable. So what we're working on is a feature to where you can go into a Conductor site and enable various languages. So initially we have the, like 7 languages that are currently available on the main website. But you can also go in and say, add additional languages. And we would have available any language that is available through Google Translate, which is hundreds of languages, not just what we have here. Now, obviously, you would run in instances where it's going to get a translation wrong. Maybe it's like the name of your institute, and you don't want that translated, or someone's proper name. So we'll have the option to go in and say, if it's this text in this language, translate it to this. Or you can just leave it blank if you just want, say if we wanted Notre Dame to not be translated at all, we could say all languages Notre Dame, and it will skip that. So here you can see a quick example. We have 2 languages enabled on this Notre Dame, California site, which is no longer in existence. But then when you're on the site, you have a little language selector down here, and this can be anywhere on the site based on design. And you can switch to another language and it will translate it on the fly. So we can navigate through pages that will stay within the language that the user has selected. And then at any point, you can switch to another language and you can see it switches to that other language. And the way that it works is the entire contents of the page are sent to Google Translate. It's done there, it's brought back, stored in a database, so it's completely cached, so the next person that does it, it's not hitting the translation layer every time. It's translated once. And then if, say, a page is updated and the first paragraph is changed, the next visitor, that single paragraph will get translated and stored, and it doesn't have to retranslate the entire page to the next. So like I said, this is something that's currently in progress. We're hoping to have it out hopefully this year. But we'll see. It's kind of a complicated feature. So we have time. Are there any questions around any of the features that I covered?
The translation is instead of the vendor or the software,
Instead of Weglot, yes.
instead of Weglot.
So we do currently use a vendor called Weglot for similar functionality. It requires a subscription, and the more languages you want, the higher the subscription is. And that is every single month you have to pay that subscription. With the built-in feature, it's going to get translated, like I said, the page will get translated once and then it's very minimal from there. So for I think if I remember my numbers right, for like a 500-page website, if every single page was clicked through by someone using a different language, it would come out to about $30 using Google's translation API, which is approximately what it is per month for the Weglot service. And that's not something, don't quote me on this, but we wouldn't be billing that back to a client. Plus, you can have as many languages you need without having to go up to another subscription tier with the vendor. Answer the question?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Something that occurred to me is our search right now on our web pages just seems like the traditional sort of Google links.
It is.
Things, but if we had some AI capabilities at search, you might get richer information about what it might find.
Yes. So the question is Google AI answers in Google search. So right now in Conductor, we use the Google search engine. And in the product that we're using, they do not offer AI assisted answers. So our options are, we can either switch to a different Google service. It's called Vertex, which then we would be able to provide AI answers, or the other option, if we're going to go ahead and switch completely, is we can go with a vendor solution. There's a number of them out there that provide AI summaries as well, or assisted answers. So that is on the short list of things we're going to be looking at in 2026.